I'm going to talk a little bit about genre today. Now, Stephen Beatty has a monthly column in the Toronto Star in which he reviews mysteries. It's a regular feature in the newspaper. As far as I know, there is no other genre which receives its own column in the Toronto Star. And that helps highlight the degree to which the mystery is a popular genre among Canadian readers. Now, obviously, there are many different genres out there. Most teens who like reading tend to go sort of through these phases where they, take on, they adopt particular genres. That was certainly the case when I was a teenager. I read mysteries for a while, then I read thrillers for a while, then I read science fiction for quite a long time. The genre of thriller is another genre that has gained popularity in Canada, but it's very different now than it was when I was young. When I was young, it was sort of Len Deighton thrillers, Ravanian thrillers, and so forth, political sort of spy thrillers. Now, the label applies to basically a kind of horror, which is quite a popular genre in Canadian letters. Science fiction, on the other hand, has never really caught on. There are some fantasy writers, and there are a handful of successful Canadian sci-fi writers, but for the most part, Canadians, I suppose, feel that science fiction is not something that I'm talking here about sort of the hardcore, spacecraft to other planets, that sort of thing, high tech. Canadians tend to feel a bit shy and tend to feel that is something that other national cultures do. However, there's one genre in particular that I'd like to focus on, and that's history. Uh, that's sort of a quasi-genre. I tend to think that it's not really a genre at all. It can be literature quite easily. However, there's this sense among the Canadian literati, Canadian publishers and agents that we had too much historical fiction already and we don't need any more. I think the opposite is true. I don't think we've ever really had that much historical fiction in sort of the sense of being about actual historical events. The one genre that I think really stands out in terms of a Canadian innovation is what I term mid-richer, MID richer. And that is something that really caught on during the 1990s. This was stuff that was supposed to be literature, but at the same time appealed to sort of a middle-brow audience. Um, that's a double-edged sword. That's a bit of a backhanded compliment to Canadian cultural production. But that is something that Canadians really were sort of innovative about. However, I don't think that we have nearly enough historical fiction. The area that I think is particularly lacking, especially given that Canada might be invaded soon, is World War II. We have almost nothing about that. There recently was a novel, The Riveter, which was released about a Chinese Canadian in the 1st Canadian Parachute Battalion. But there is still no historical novel about the amphibious landings at Juno Beach. And I know that the industry is not interested in that. I started writing that project, I don't know, 8 years ago or longer, and shopping it around. There's very little interest. I think this is a mistake that we're making.